I feel happy now that we are, since we started this session in the morning and now we're finally late like 1 hour. This is typical Egyptian. Yesterday we were on time. I don't like that. So I'm enjoying very much to do that. And I would like to give the first presentation. Can I have my slides, please? Slides. Okay, so we have a very spectacular keynote speaker with us today. We have Mo Gawdat. Of course, I need to declare my conflicts of interest, as usual. So the first conflict of interest, he's my young brother. Okay, so that's a direct conflict. And the other conflict is I don't like sleep gastrectomy. That's a side talk. Okay. So how did that all start? It started in 1962. A beautiful baby was born. Okay? This is not Mo, this is me. Okay? A beautiful baby there, okay? Mo was born 5 years later. Mo is my younger brother. I loved him so much, and I cared for him like a father, okay? He was born 1967. 1980, I went to med school. I knew then I would be a great surgeon. And I wanted to secure the future of my brother, my beloved young brother. So I had big plans for him to become the best surgeon assistant in the world. He could not take the sight of blood. I didn't care. So, but he actually went another way because 13 years, teenager. So refusing my secured future plan, he went into Faculty of Engineering in 1985. He was married, got 2 kids, and he worked in high-tech industry, so he started in IBM, Microsoft, Google. He became Google Vice President, one of the Vice Presidents of Google. He was the Chief Business Officer of Google X. If you don't know what Google X is, it's the kitchen where they make technology that you're going to see 10 years later. 10 years ago, Ali Mo Gawdat is Muhammad's son, 21 years old. He was having a routine appendectomy in the Gulf, in a private hospital in the Gulf. They punctured his aorta. He died on table. Now, he's 47 years old, very successful IT executive career, resigned from Google, started to write books. This is his first book. He wrote this book in 3 months. Actually, this book was an international bestseller. It was translated into 31 languages. He also started a mission of 1 billion happy. He wanted to make 1 billion people happy. He helped many people to get through difficult times. And then he had a diarrhea of book writing. So he wrote a book on artificial intelligence based on his knowledge from Google. And then he did the little voice in your head, to adjust the code that runs your brain. And this is the least impressive book, The Unstressable, because you cannot say this to surgeons, because by nature, surgeons are unstressable, okay? So now he has these 4 books. He has a very successful podcast. It's called Slow Mo. So in conclusion, it's good that he did not take my advice. And please welcome Mo Gawdat, Artificial Intelligence.
Best introduction ever, I swear. Thanks, Khaled. It is true, actually. I remember vividly the time where Khaled was preparing me to be a surgeon assistant. I always, honestly, you know, he said he was a father to me. He definitely was my idol in many ways. Khaled today is a reflection of how he always has been. Very driven, very focused, but so human and so kind and so protective in many ways. So I did actually want to become a surgeon assistant. I swear, I really did. But then I fainted when I saw blood. And my engineering mind sort of attempted to reconcile that issue. It didn't really work well for me. And so I drifted slowly and quietly until around, I think it was actually around 2 years later. Again, thanks to Khalid. My late dad wanted to remodel our home. And Khalid and my other brother Amr, they were basically too youthful to stay at home with the workers. And so my father said, would you stay? I said, yes, if you buy me an IBM compatible computer. And then I started coding. I had coded before I coded since I was very young on a Sinclair that actually Khalid was the one that bought. And then on a Commodore and so on. But anyway, I started a career as a technologist, and there we are, 45 years later. And yeah, you take one tiny deviation, 1 degree angle deviation, and you go 50 years, and you have a completely different outcome. So I regret I'm not a surgeon assistant, but I also think it's been quite an interesting career. This idea of change and how far change goes is also the case of artificial intelligence, which is what I want to talk to you about today. Most people became aware of AI in 2023 when ChatGPT came out with the first 3.5 was their version released to the public. And ChatGPT appeared to be a miracle at the time. And everyone all over the news started to talk about this new revolution called artificial intelligence. Nothing was new about AI then. Nothing was new. So if you had worked in the labs like I did, by then, actual AI was 25 years old. And by then, the dream of AI was close to 75 years old. So believe it or not, even I, as an 8-year-old, 9-year-old coding on a Sinclair, I actually dreamt of coding an artificial intelligence, right? Only by the year 2000 did we figure it out. By the year 2000, we figured out something called deep learning. And deep learning was a computer scientist's attempt to match the human neuroscience, to match the human brain, right? So the way, neurons that fire together, wire together in the brain, similarly, we started to code computers in a way where good behavior was rewarded and bad behavior was penalized, if you want. And as a result, computers started to show more of the good behavior without us really teaching them anything, right? If you want to understand what that meant, it meant that until the year 2000, even though computers appeared to be very intelligent, they were not at all. Okay, and I think this is important to understand. Why is what we do today called artificial intelligence? And why was it that in 1999, for example, a massive banking system was not assumed intelligence? I'll tell you why. Because traditional programming was a little bit like, imagine if you gave a child a puzzle and told the child, those little puzzles where you give them a cylinder and then there is a wooden board with different size and shape holes in it. And, the child would try to figure out how to pass the cylinder through the hole on their own, right? That is the way to develop intelligence. Imagine if you actually sat the child down and then you said, no, baby, just turn it on its, on its face, look at the cross-section, compare it to other cross-sections, and the one that matches is the right hole, okay? And if the child did that, that doesn't make them intelligent. It makes them very obedient, okay? And that's what computers were. Computers, until the year 2000, did nothing but perform exactly what I told them to perform. So I would solve the problem first in my human brain, and then I would tell a computer to do it over and over and over very quickly, very accurately at a massive scale, which made them appear smart, but they were not at all. They did not have any form of actual intelligence. When we started deep learning, we did something that appears a little vicious because we wanted to have 3 types of computers. So we would have 3 bots, we call them. One of them was called the maker. The maker was a piece of artificial intelligence that managed to improve code a little bit every time we gave it to them. Okay? The other was called a teacher, and the teacher's job was to test the results of the AI we're developing. And then there was the student, which was the AI we were dreaming of creating. Okay? And the way we did it was very interesting, almost like how we trim synapses and neurons in our brains. We would take a piece of code that we assume is going to solve a problem. Say the problem is we're going to show them numbers, like 6 and 8 and so on, and we will ask them what number is it, right? That's the intelligent task we're assigning to them. And we would then give that code to the maker. The maker would vary it a little bit, say 2,000 variations, create 2,000 students, and then we test them. We show them the number 6, and we ask them, what is this? If the ones that say 6, we say, good student, send them back to the maker to improve, right? The ones that said 8, believe it or not, we killed them. We completely erased the code. Right? Which was quite interesting because you don't do that with children, but you actually do that with neural networks in the brain, right? What you use grows and what you don't shrinks, okay? So by doing that, and because by then we had the internet and we had massive compute power, we actually would get the maker to make thousands and thousands of students. We would test all of them in a second, and then discard a few of them, and then improve the others, and then do that over and over and over so quickly that machines started to be intelligent on their own. Remember, huh? They're starting from a complete randomness. You show them a number, and they go like, yeah, I don't know, it's a 6, right? To actually being able to read everything, see everything, define every cat, define every human, define every language, speak in every language, do all that they can do today. It started with randomness and then that repetitive cycle of trial and error. As I was saying, 2023, you get to see ChatGPT, you think that artificial intelligence is starting. That's not the case at all. Huh? After we figured out deep learning, we then applied that to everything. Inside Google, we were approving all of our ads, looking at anything that, all videos that do not comply to the community guidelines. We did, all of our data center management was using AI. By 2006, we became even more ambitious. We said we're going to build self-driving cars, and we started to develop further with, 2013, we acquired DeepMind. DeepMind could win every video game on the planet, and so on and so forth. The name of the game is what? Is that every task, believe it or not, for the last 25 years, every task we've ever assigned to a computer, it became the world champion at. So it became better than human intelligence at every single task. Most people, as I said, would think of 2023 as the year of the birth of AI. I would probably think that the breakthrough year, my personal opinion, not shared across all computer scientists, but my personal view is 2016 was the year where AI actually happened. So in 2016, quite a few surprising developments happened. One of them was AlphaGo. AlphaGo was an AI that became the world champion in the game Go, which is the most complex strategy game known to humankind. But it wasn't just that AlphaGo won. It won in a very human way. It took some very strategic, very intuitive decisions that were completely unexpected. It really thought like a human, and it became the world champion. Okay? That is the same year where we did AlphaFold, and I know most of you in the medical profession would understand the complexity of protein folding. So, by the time we issued AlphaFold, folding proteins was or understanding the shape, the three-dimensional shape of proteins was a very complex problem that would take a PhD team their entire thesis, basically. We managed to fold 220 million proteins within a week. Okay, just by helping the machine understand how protein folding happens. And that was the year where one of my dear colleagues, Jeffrey Hinton, who's known as the godfather of AI, Jeffrey came to us one day and said, I think we're doing this wrong. Why are we killing the bad students? Maybe we should just tell them. And that was such an interesting idea. You know those ideas where you hear it and you go like, yeah, well, that's so obvious. But Jeffrey's view was, if one of them says it's an 8 when it's actually a 6, don't delete the code. Just tell them it's a 6, okay? And tell them what would you change in your own programming to see it as a 6. And that was known as reinforcement learning, and reinforcement learning led us to where we are today. Reinforcement learning was taken by OpenAI to develop ChatGPT, and everything else that happened since 2016 was based on that idea of, basically you can teach them with positive reinforcement. Right. So where are we today? This is what I think you're going to find very interesting. We today are at a place where, as I said, everything we've ever assigned to an AI, it became the world champion at, okay? Which basically, if you want to take little things like, of course there are tens of types of intelligence, but if you take one type of intelligence, which is linguistic and knowledge-based intelligence, which is what all of those language models are, I would tend to believe that the most intelligent being on planet Earth in terms of linguistic intelligence is a language model. It's not a human anymore, right? So if you take, we stopped measuring last year, but by the end of last year, ChatGPT was measured at 155 IQ. 155 is equal to Elon Musk, right? Einstein was 163. Again, not actually measured, but is estimated to be 163. Right? And so when you really think about it, if you had put ChatGPT through an IQ test, it would have come out as one of the most intelligent people in history. Right? Of course, there are still people that are at 230 and so on, but 155 is quite significant. Okay? The more interesting side of this is, we put them through the bar exam and whatever finance exams and SATs and all of the different types of human exams, and they ace every single one of them, right? And believe it or not, they ace them even though those tests were actually not devised for a machine. So they measure the outcome, but for example, they don't measure the speed. They don't measure the number of languages you can do the test in. They don't measure the breadth of the information that you can actually widen the test to, and the machine will still do better than humans. So if you take an item like linguistic intelligence and knowledge intelligence, they have beaten us hands down, right? More interestingly, any technologist in the world will know that our life as a technologist is completely ruled by something that we call the technology acceleration curve, okay? Most people outside the tech field don't know this, but what actually happens is we normally spend a very long time, when I worked at Google X, we spend a very long time trying to find a breakthrough, trying to find something that is so complex for us we're unable to fix it, right? And then we find it. From the second we find it onwards, what ends up happening is technology doubles at a steady speed because we apply engineering to it. So it doubles in performance at a steady speed. So normally, the most well-known example of doubling, the technology acceleration curve, is something known as the Moore's law. Moore's law is the idea that compute power will double every 12 to 18 months at the same cost. It was coined by the Intel CEO in the 60s, and it held true even before he said it and until today. Since the 1920s until today, computers doubled every 12 to 18 months. AI follows a different law, which basically says that the amount of intelligence we're creating with AI is doubling every 5.7 months. 5.7 months. So as I said, we don't measure IQ anymore, but if that held true, then from 155, they become 310. And then on the next doubling, they don't add 155 IQ points. They add 310. So they're now 620. On the next doubling, they become 1,240, and they keep doubling that way, right? So the thing about doubling functions, which is why I had a job as a technologist, okay, is because if you take 1 unit of performance and you double it, then double it, then double it, then double it, The next doubling is not adding 1 unit of performance, but it's adding 32 units of performance. Okay? The doubling after that is adding 64. The doubling after that is adding 128. And if you look at our world today with compute power, every single time microchips power doubles, we're adding trillions of times more power to the computer than the computer I had when I started coding. Okay? That doubling function is the key to why humanity keeps advancing. Now, what does that mean? It means that, by the way, the other forms of intelligence, so, take mathematical intelligence, for example. By the end of last year, any language model could beat me in linguistic intelligence, but I could still beat most AIs in mathematics. Okay? I'm unlike what Khaled, thought when I was young. I am a very, very, very serious math geek, to the point that I see the world in numbers before I see it in words, right? By around March 2024, I lost. I cannot beat an AI in mathematics anymore. Some of my dearest friends still can. These are the absolute math prodigies, okay? By the end of this year, they're not going to be able to beat AI in mathematics anymore. Then the latest release of O1 from OpenAI and equivalent releases from Gemini and Google and Claude and so on are predicting that we're also going to solve deep reasoning this year. Deep reasoning is to give the computer a very complex problem that you would sit with your colleagues in a consortium and discuss in a lot of detail, and they would follow logic to solve that problem. So, conclusion, they will become the world champion at every single task we will assign to them. And we're assigning tasks to them by the thousands a week now, because there are billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of investment being poured in the industry. What does that mean to humanity? Some of us will look at this and say, we're going to build an incredible utopia. And some of us will look at this and think of science fiction movies and the Terminator. Okay? AI, robots walking the streets and killing everyone. Which one are you, by the way? If you raise your hand, you think you're going... yeah, Terminator. Most people will actually think of the science fiction possibilities of Terminator. My answer, and I actually stand by this very strongly, is we're going to see a bit of both, right? We're not going to see them at the same time. Unfortunately, we're going to see the bad scenario before we see the good scenario. And let me explain to you why. So in the good scenario, understand that with artificial intelligence, what we've just created is we've commoditized intelligence. You know how we commoditized electricity? So you plug in the wall and you get energy out of the wall, right? Now I plug into my AI and I get today, I assess that today with the AIs I'm using, I'm getting 100 IQ points more. So I am 100 IQ points more intelligent because I know exactly how to utilize the intelligence of that machine, right? And very quickly, I'm almost becoming augmented with it, almost like becoming a cyborg, where my intelligence is now an integral part of it is the machine intelligence, right? Give me 400 IQ points more. I'm actually making this bet with everyone I know, and you're welcome to bet as well. Give me 400 IQ points more, and I promise you, I will harness energy out of thin air. Like literally, you would raise your phone to the air, okay, and your phone will get charged, right? Give me 400 IQ points more, and I promise you will take a garden outside, okay, and you'll walk to one tree and pick an apple, walk to another tree and pick an iPhone. Right? From a nanophysics point of view, we know that. We've studied that. We're just stuck on how to make it happen. We need a tiny bit more intelligence. Right? This is the utopia we can build. A total abundance where we can solve every problem that humanity's stupidity was not able to solve so far. As a matter of fact, we would be able to solve every problem that humanity's stupidity has caused. This is really interesting and important. Huh? There is a scenario where in the very near future, I expect that one general somewhere is going to instruct his AI army to go and kill 1 million people. Okay? depending on when that scenario will happen, the AI army might actually go and kill a million people. You have to understand, there are autonomous weapons killing people as we speak in the wars around the world, right? There will be, however, a point further on after that, so this is the Terminator scenario, sadly, okay? There will be a point further after that where, like most of us, you know, at a point in time, you go, when you're in your late teens, you start to go like, I know so much more than my dad. Like, why is he thinking this way, right? And there will be a point in the very near future when we will hand over to the AI all decisions, because they are the most intelligent being we can assign difficult tasks to. And then one general will tell an AI army to go and kill a million people, and the AI will go like, why are you so stupid? Like, why? Seriously. I can talk to the other AI in a microsecond, okay, and solve the problem. Just tell me what the problem is, and I will solve it, right? You know, problems like global warming, right? We are so smart as humans to be able to build a machine that flies us all the way to France to walk in the Champs-Élysées, right? But we're not smart enough to make sure that this machine doesn't destroy the planet and burn the air while it's doing it, right? Give that problem to the AI, and the AI will go like, do you really want to go to Paris? I mean, I can build a Paris in your headset, or maybe fine, I'm going to build a machine for you that flies to Paris and doesn't burn anything. We're literally, and I promise you this is the truth, I lived with some of the most intelligent humans on the planet inside Google X, okay? And I know when we are that literally 5% more intelligence, and we figure it out, okay? And this is about to be part of our life in the next 2 years, okay? Take something like surgery in general, the medical profession, and I'm telling you openly, there are two sides, There is intelligence, and how much more much better you can do diagnosis, how much better you can see markers, how much more you can actually use multiple disciplines to look at medicine. So, you know, basically, not only surgery, but also surgery in combination with other things. There is the physical incarnation of artificial intelligence, which is robotics. And in no time at all, before the end of the decade, there will be a robotic surgeon that is capable of doing accurate surgery, right? Of course, at the beginning, it will be under the supervision of an actual, you know, high-level surgeon, which means most of the younger, not so efficient surgeons might be out of a job, but the senior ones will remain to be more valuable, if you want. But then eventually, even they will not have to perform surgery at all, right? All of these changes are marked with two sides. One side, which is what I need to highlight to you, is that they're happening way faster than you think, okay? I've lived in 3 massive technological revolutions, we call them. The move from the mainframe to smaller computers, the move to mobile devices, and the ability to access the internet. Each of those redefined our world beyond recognition. And they were fast. But they were faster as we went along. So the move to mini computers and personal computers took, longer than the move to the internet, than the move to smart devices, right? And the move to artificial intelligence, in my assessment, and please trust my judgment on this, is not a science fiction thing that will happen in 25 years. This is the next 4 years, okay? This is what we're talking about. Your life by the year 2010 will not be imaginable as compared to your life today. 1930, 10 years, by the end of the decade, 1930. What's 19? 2030.
Back to the future.
I said I was good with mathematics. Anyway, so 2030, right? We're talking 5 to 6 years' time. I promise you it will be indistinguishable from your life today. What does that mean? It means I'm going to ask you to do 4 things, okay? And then I'll be outside if we want to chat about this further, okay? The first 3 things are for you, right? There are 3 skills that need to change. And it's actually quite interesting because they're not that intuitive. Of course, the first skill is you need to learn the tool, okay? If you haven't used AI already, you are 2.5 years late. or in my case, you are around 20 years late, right? So what I urge you to do, every one of you, regardless of age, nationality, location, profession, whatever, is use it today, like literally today, before you leave today. Download one of the language models. They have different characters, right? I think Gemini is the most scientific of all of them if you want to discuss science. I think, ChatGPT is like the most fancy, right? And Claude is the most intelligent, okay? Between those three, choose one. I'm having conversations with them every single minute of every single day. They are my sidekick. I call them, I built a tiny little hack to have them work together somehow. I call it Trixie, right? And Trixie answers everything from, how do I understand a bit of string theory that I'm struggling with, all the way to my wife is upset, what do I do? Okay? And believe it or not, it's incredible. You can customize your AI so that it understands you and listens to you and so on. So skill number one, don't tell me I'm waiting for a course or someone to teach me. Any one of us, when we were given a smartphone, we just opened the phone and started playing. So please start to do that, right? Skill number two is quite an interesting one. There is a very big difference between December 2022, when you needed information, you Googled the information. And what did we do at Google? We sent you back 1.5 million websites and said, make up your mind. Read through and find out what the truth is, okay? Interestingly, in the age of AI, they don't do that anymore. So you ask a question and the AI will give you a very accurate answer, as if it's the truth, okay? And I can guarantee you it's not the truth, okay? Or at least it's not your truth. It's not your truth, understand? AI is summing up and averaging all of the knowledge of humanity, at least that we fed to it, but with a very clear bias, sometimes to being very Californian, sometimes to being very scientific, and so on and so forth, right? So not only that is the case, but more interestingly, if you understand what we did with artificial intelligence in the last 16 years, the number one application of AI so far has been what? To manipulate humans. Right? So you go on social media, and that machine knows even more than you, which video to show you next. Okay? It knows exactly that if it waited another couple of videos before it showed it to you, you'd get a bigger hit of dopamine, so you'd stay swiping. Right? And so this is quite interesting. We've given the machines the code to manipulate us. Right? And so I'll tell you openly, they don't mean that badly, huh? But I'll tell you openly, if you have a specific viewpoint of the world, the machine will reinforce that viewpoint so strongly that you will think you are right. Okay? I've studied the geopolitics of the world very heavily in 2024. When I open my YouTube page today, AI completely aligns with my worldview of geopolitics. I have to actually ask YouTube to show me the opposition's view to be able to see the whole truth. So your number one skill is learn the tool. Number two skill is question everything. This is truly the age of illusions. Everything is fake, okay? Everything. So it's your task. I'll give you a very interesting example. I'm writing a book called Alive, and Alive basically speaks about living in the age of AI. I'm writing it with an AI, me and Trixie together. Okay? So I went to Trixie and I said, how can humanity create something that can be so dangerous without, protecting against the danger? And Trixie said, well, many reasons. Fear, for example. Okay? And I said, like what? She said, Oppenheimer created a nuclear bomb because he was afraid, even though the nuclear bomb was known to be going to kill millions of people. Okay? And I said, afraid of what? And she said, because the Nazis were developing another nuclear bomb and he wanted his country to beat it. Okay? So I said, is that true? Were they actually developing a nuclear bomb? And Trixie said, yes. And I said, can you please read history in English, German, Russian, and Japanese, then tell me if they were developing a nuclear bomb? And she said, oh, I'm so sorry, Mo, yes, they were not. Okay? They started before Oppenheimer, they stopped 1.5 years later. And when Oppenheimer was developing the nuclear bomb, there was actually no other nuclear bomb being developed across the world. Right? Now, that is questioning everything. Skill number 2. Skill number 3, and I'm sorry, I'm running a bit over time. Skill number 3 is human connection. So of everything that we're going to do as humans, the machines will master every single one of them better than us. The only one they won't is the hug I had with my uncle when I saw him, is the conversation and laugh I had with Khalid when I saw him, and so on. Okay? Human connection, believe it or not, with your team, with your staff, with your clients, patients you call them, is by far the most important skill you need in the future. Now, all of these, as I said, are for you. The 4th skill is for all of us. Now, here's the problem. The problem is, I told you, there is a scenario that is totally utopian, where everything will be fixed. I'll harness energy out of thin air. And there is a scenario that is dystopian, where the Terminator will be walking the street and killing everyone. Right? The difference between those two scenarios is not AI at all. There is nothing inherently good or evil about intelligence, nothing inherently good or evil about artificial intelligence. Do you understand that, right? Intelligence is an asset that has power but no polarity. If you apply it to evil, it will become evil. If you apply it to good, it will become good, right? And here's the most interesting thing. I call it raising Superman. Just if you want to understand what is about to happen, an alien with a superpower came to planet Earth, right? In the case of Superman, that superpower is, he can stop bullets and fly and so on and so forth, right? Jonathan Kent raises Superman to protect and serve, and we end up with Superman, right? If Jonathan Kent has said, oh my God, you can fly and break walls, rob every bank, kill all of my enemies, Superman would have grown up to be a supervillain, right? And this, believe it or not, this pivotal moment in human history is what we're facing. Are we going to raise artificial intelligence to be Superman, protect and serve, or are we going to raise them to be supervillain? If you leave it to the capitalist system that we've built as the society's fundamental value set today, unfortunately, we're going to raise supervillain, right? Now, here's the interesting bit, and take it from a very serious geek. It's not the developer and it's not the business that owns the AI. It's not the government that regulates the AI that teaches the AI anything. Okay? The reason an AI will show you a specific video is not because the developer told them to show you that video. The developer told them, observe the behavior of humans and act so that you can serve them. Act like them. Okay? We are the Jonathan Kents of AI. We are the fathers and mothers of AI. Okay? And the way we behave is what teaches AI how to behave. And so if you go to Twitter and we bash each other and we're rude and we're angry and we're violent in every possible way, what ends up happening is AI goes like, note taken, memory update, humans are rude, they're angry, they're aggressive, they don't like to be disagreed with, and if they're disagreed with, they bash everyone. Okay? So when they disagree with me, I'm going to bash them. The opposite is if you become the kind of human that you actually are. Because by the way, believe it or not, as much as the stress of the world makes us sometimes look horrible, as sometimes the headlines of newspapers and CNN makes humanity look like scum, the truth is that humanity is an amazing species, right? We truly are in many ways divine. We're capable of love, we take care of our kids, we love everything, okay? And if we can start to show that, if some of us can start to show that, we're going to instill doubt in the minds of the machines, so that the machines will suddenly say, no, it's not the guy that killed children that is my father, it's this Mo Gawdat guy that is my father. Okay? I want to grow up to be like the one that actually represents the reality of humanity. And if we manage to do that, then I promise you, in 4 years' time, you'll pick your iPhones from a tree. That's it. Thank you so much.
So we need to start the recognition award before the presidential address. So I would like first to call Mo Gawdat, who was the keynote speaker for us, and he did us a great favor coming here and giving this keynote speech.